Morning guys, welcome back to the shed. Saturday morning. Little update, something I've thought of during the week. I'll start sort of a discussion, we'll say, about filtration. In the painting world we are surrounded by a vast array of filters. Everything ranging from paper filters, RPS filters, we've got PPS, 3M PPS, different types of 3M PPS, different filters. Finexa, new company on the market, filters with their equivalent of a disposable cup system. Lobster pots for siphon feed guns. Strainers for gravity fed guns, all different colours, different ratings. Pots and liners inside guns. I want to use a pot filter built into the pot. Why do we filter paint? Obviously, if we're looking for a nice clean paint job, we're not really looking for any solids to go through from the paint manufacturer onto your painted surface. They could be an absolute disaster. If you get airborne trash in your paint, it's normally in the final couple of coats. Like we've said before, we can cut and polish those out. If you've got a big metal flake or a big chunk of colour that's solidified in the mix of the paint, that would be one blast of blob in the paint. You won't cut it out. You can probably get rid of the deflection in the surface, you could probably get rid of the lump, we'll say, but you won't get rid of that blob. So what we're trying to do is, if you're putting, say, a metallic coat of base coat down, what we'd like to see on the surface is all the metallics regulated to one size. Paint manufacturer do their bit, and they obviously cut the aluminiums to size. But it is possible for certain things, certain types of metallics, certain types of solids in the paint to actually stick together. So you can get more than one bit in one area which looks like the flake is double sized, or the solids in the paint is double the size that it should be. So we try and filter everything out to try and get this uniform speckle, we'll say, in the paint surface. What filters do we use for what process? As you can see with my selection that I've got here, they're all different sizes, shapes, whatever. The common scale we're using today is microns. Those of us out there, myself included, it's a basic measurement. It's 1/1000th of a millimetre. So it's not maths. It's not a big scale. If you had 1 millimetre, divided it up into 1,000 little slices, that is 1 micron. So it's very, very tiny, as you can imagine. When we're using base coats, waterborne base coats, the paint manufacturer that I use suggests that I should use 125 to 150 micron filters for filtering that base coat, which is great. The issues that I'm seeing out there, some of the videos that I've watched on YouTube, whatever, the guys will say, go down to your paint jobber, to your paint factors, buy a tin of paint, ask them for some freebie filters, chuck 2 or 3 in, filter it nicely, whatever. That could be quite disastrous, to be fair. Yes, get some free filters, I'm not sort of worried about that side of it. If you're spraying quite a coarse metallic, say in a silver or whatever colour it may be, and then you have got free filters from your jobber that's only 125 micron, which is almost the smallest that we use in the motor trade, you can filter the metallic into that filter. So what strains through the filter does now not have enough metallic flake to give you the finish that you want, because half your metallic is stuck in here. So you have to know what size flake your paint manufacturer specified that's in that mix. So you need to know, you need to get to your technical data sheets and work out what size filter you should be using. Obviously this is only if you're dealing with metallic paints, if you're dealing with metal flakes yourself. Some of the metal flakes are huge. So from that point of view, it's best probably not to have a filter in the gun whatsoever if you're spraying big metal flakes, if you're after a custom finish. Because there's no filter that could actually control the size of the big metal flakes. They're quite huge, some of them. Normal size flakes that we have in our normal paint finishes, I've written it down here, 0.004, 0.008, 0.015, 0.025. Those are the common sizes. I'll actually just offer that up to the camera, you may or may not see it. These are the common sizes of flake that we're using in normal paints. Obviously most manufacturer has a special effect paint that's hand done or whatever, so there might be a different size of flake in that particular size. So once again, we need to know what size flake we have in our colour that we've mixed to know what size filter to put it through. My ratings that I use, I've got two size filters that I use for water-based, 125 microns and 150 microns. That's what I use for water-based. If I then go to the solvent-based, whether it be clears or whether it be single stage paint, whatever, I now go to 190 or 260. 260 is obviously best for the primer side of it. 190s are sort of okay for clears. Most of these little lobster type pots that are spray gun filters, that these are the white ones, are normally about the 190. They're okay for sort of clears. Same with the PPS systems. These are the 3M PPS, exactly written on there, 200 microns. That's okay for clear coat, solvent based, obviously. So the same with most of them. About the 200 microns is okay for solvent based. To explain it, put it a little bit simpler, the smaller the number, the finer the filter. So 125 is a smaller number than 190. So as this one, the 125 is fine. And even though this filter says 190 fine, it's not actually as fine as a 125. 190 is more coarse. So there's bigger holes in that filter to let stuff through. The filter in my Iwata spray gun for primer is 250 microns. Obviously with most primers you're going to be doing some sort of rework and sanding down after, so there's no need going any finer than that. If you were doing a wet on wet, then you would put it through your top coat gun, and you would use probably a 190 filter in that, just to make sure that it's nice and fine, because obviously you're not going to do any rework. So basically, small numbers, fine filters, big numbers, bigger holes in the filter itself. Is there anything down there that I've missed out? No. So, as I say, the important note is to talk to your paint manufacturers, to look at your technical data sheets. It will tell you what size flake they're using for what tinter is on your mixing bank. So if you've got a big flake, there's no point putting a big flake through a fine filter, straining out half the metallic that you're trying to put on the car. This is probably why some of you are getting poor results for colour matching, because you've strained out either half the colour or half the metal flake that's going onto your car. Is there anything else you guys need to know? I don't think so. I think that sort of covers it quite well. No, we're good for that. We're good for that. So I hope that's been of interest to you guys. As I say, choose the right filter, for the right process. Don't just go and get a handful of cheapies from your factors, strain loads of paint through it, find out you've strained out all your colour and you've spoilt your job because of the wrong filter. Or some things, if you've got gun filters and you put a filter in that's very fine, as you're spraying your vehicle, that filter is getting more clogged, more clogged, more clogged. Performance of your gun is getting less. So how you set the gun up at the start of your bonnet, say, is now different to what you get into the second side of the bonnet. So you need to put in the right size filters. Nothing worse than having a gun that's suffocating itself because everything is blocked, and you're struggling to put the paint on. Right, I hope that's been helpful to you guys. Sorry it's going to be a quick one this morning, but as you can see, during the week I've used quite a few paint strainers and filters and whatever, and I myself just made a logical approach and thought, well, what size strainers am I using and for why? And I thought, I wonder if the guys need to know that on the YouTube. Hope that was a help. Any comments, put them in the message box and I'll try and get back to you. Thanks for watching. Cheers guys.